Tap!
The Kimura from guard.
So apparently today is my turn to suffer.
You've been choking me in every one of your intros. This is called balance.
This is called workers' comp.
Nope. This is called Kimura from guard. The Kimura is probably one of the first submissions you ever learn in jiu-jitsu. But when you actually roll, you probably feel like you can never hit it on anybody good.
Unless they're brand new, exhausted, or making terrible life choices.
And it's not because the Kimura is a bad move. It's not because your coach taught it wrong. Most of the time, it's because you missed a few tiny details that make the whole thing work. By the end of this video, I'm going to show you the setup, the finish, what to do when they defend, and the detail that makes this work on people bigger and stronger than you.
And I'm gonna show you what it looks like when the bigger person makes bad decisions.
Let's get started. So first, I need his hands on the floor. If his hands are here, I'm not just magically sitting up and getting around this arm.
Because I'm responsible. I'm protecting myself.
For once. When his hands are on my body, there is no pathway. But when his hands hit the mat, now I can come up to one side of his body and start putting my two arms against his one arm. That is why the Kimura is so strong. My two arms should beat one of his arms, but only if I get to the right angle first. So how do I get his hands from my body to the mat? I take the blades of my hands, come underneath his wrists, and I want my fingers showing in the center, not outside. If I'm out here, I don't really own anything. Inside. Now when I wipe his hands off my body, I already know what he wants. He wants to bring his hands right back.
Correct. I would like my hands returned to the safe location.
And that is why I use the stage 5 clinger method.
That sounds super unhealthy.
It is. For you. I cling wherever his arms go as I pull him in with my legs. So it's not just my arms pushing his hands down. It's my hands clearing, my legs pulling, and me not letting him bring his hands back.
So she's not strong, she's just annoying.
That is also jiu-jitsu. Once his hands hit the floor and his chest comes towards me, I cannot let his head stay in the center. If his head is in the center, this is bad. I'm trying to set up through his big head, and that's not gonna work. So I do two things at the same time. I push his head to one side and bring my armpit up to the other side. It's not just a push, it's a push and a cover.
She says covered, but I call it being smothered by a tiny person.
That is also jiu-jitsu. One more time, the motion is like this. I push his head across with one hand and bring my armpit over with the other hand. Now I open my legs just long enough to set up, but I don't leave them wide open like I'm inviting him to pass. Anytime you open your guard, you need to keep your knees tight. The goal is for them to still feel pressure on their sides and not even realize the guard actually opened. So I push his head over and cover, knees tight, hip and elbow. This is where a lot of people lose the Kimura before they ever really have it. They grab the wrist first. The second he feels that, he knows the Kimura is coming and he rips his arm out.
My survival instincts are elite.
Your shoulder saw the ice bag and made an executive decision. I don't want to scare him by grabbing the wrist first. The first thing I want is this hook. I hook high, as close to the shoulder and armpit as I can, not down here by the elbow. If I'm low, he can rip his elbow free. Here, I glue my elbow tight to his body. Rip your arm out.
I'm stuck.
As intended. Now that the elbow is trapped, I can take my time and find the wrist. Once I own the elbow, now I find the wrist. I like the thumb from the bottom. Some people use the no thumb monkey grip, and that can work too. But for me, thumb from the bottom feels stronger in this case, especially when I'm trying to keep his hand from hiding.
So the official rule is do what Cadence likes?
Duh.
Very educational.
After I get his wrist, I swivel just enough to grab my own wrist and lock the figure 4. If you feel like your arms are too short, don't panic. Simply slide your bicep down his tricep. I need long arms up here. I can have my short arms here. Now if he's smart, he's going to glue his hand to the mat. If his hand is glued to the mat, I can't just pop it with my arms. This is where people waste energy and then say, the Kimura doesn't work.
I support that conclusion.
Of course you do. Instead, I'm going to elbow hip, until my hip bulldozes his hand off the mat. Elbow hip, elbow hip. As you can see, my hip is getting closer to his hand until it has nowhere to stay. That's the detail. I'm not lifting his hand. I'm moving my body until the hand gets blasted off the floor. Once his hand comes off the mat, now I have to finish at the right angle. This is terrible. A lot of people try to finish here. Now I'm doing a pull-up with my arms, and that is not strong.
For the record, I am not tapping to that.
Because for once, you are right. Let me show you the proper finishing angle. I need to swivel my head so that it goes toward 3 o'clock. I want to be perpendicular, not parallel. My leg goes high over his back because if I leave it low, he can forward roll out. leg high over the back, elbow glued to my chest, wrist goes to his back. Now I'm behind the arm and using my triceps, which is much stronger than pulling with my biceps. I push his wrist up his back as I turn to my side for the finish. You do not need a big motion here. Everything is tight and the finish comes from position, not trying to rip someone's shoulder off.
Great. Safety disclaimer after attempted murder.
Tap early, complain later. Now here's the defense people are going to use when they know the Kimura is coming.
I have found safety.
No, you have found a different problem. When he grabs his thigh, don't just sit here and pull. If I fight his grip with my arms, I'm letting his defense turn into a strength contest. Instead, I'm going to use leverage to break his grip. If I turn to face his hip, I now have the space to pull my near side leg in tight. Then I can post that foot on his hip and push off. This uses leverage to break the grip. From here, I can turn back the other way and finish the Kimura. The Kimura shows up from a lot more than just enclosed guard.
Unfortunately.
You can attack Kimuras from guard, half guard, side control, north-south, other top positions, scrambles, and even as a way to take the back. But here's what matters. The entry changes. The finishing rules stay very similar. When I'm in top side control, I still need to own the elbow, I still need the wrist controlled, I still need his arm behind his back, and I still need to use my body angle, not just my arms. The difference is from guard, I'm moving my hips around him. So from top side control, I'm using the Kimura control and my chest pressure as I step over his head.
So same shoulder crime, different neighborhood?
Exactly. If this feels awkward at first, drill this in 2 pieces. Drill 1, the stage 5 clinger. He has his hands on my hips. I clear the inside, follow his hands, and pull him in with my legs until his hands hit the mat. Do not rush to the submission. Just get used to clearing, following, and pulling. Drill 2, Elbow-Hip Bulldozer. Start with the Kimura already locked and his hand glued to the mat. Elbow, hip, elbow, hip. You're training your body to move around the arm instead of trying to curl his hand off the mat.
Because your bicep is not the hero of the story.
Exactly. Your angle is. The Kimura from guard is not about yanking the arm. Clear the hands, move the head, trap the elbow first, use elbow hip movement to free the hand, then finish from a perpendicular angle with the elbow glued to your chest. These are the small details on the Kimura from guard that make it actually work. Maybe your coach showed them and you missed them. Maybe nobody ever explained it this way. Either way, start adding these details and your Kimura is going to feel completely different.
And your training partners may start hiding their arms like their lives depend on it.
Comment below if you want a deeper breakdown on Kimuras from other positions, Kimura trap back takes, or the best ways to defend it.
Please comment defense.
Thanks for watching and we'll see you on the next one.